Hi, welcome into my studio, and this really is something very different for me. A human eye. This is the reference photo I'll be working from, which as you can see is packed with detail. So what I've done here, I've blurred my reference. I've shown this on other videos, and then I've pulled colors out using my image editor. That really helps me to see the true colors there. You can see I'm looking at my piece of pastel mat, my colored pastel mat, and I'm showing you how I would select the right color palette from all the things I've got, all the soft pastels. So you can see I put it on my piece of pastel paper, and then I can hold that up and see if that's close at all to any of the colors that are actually on the reference photo. So here's a pan pastel. See, I've got different colors of those as well, so I can pull those out of my set. Just cleaning off a small tool, an applicator, and I can once again rub that on the edge and put it on the edge so I can offer that up then to the photo. And you can see it's very close to that one, not close to the others, so that's a good one to keep. Obviously I can lighten those as well by mixing the pan pastel colors together. So clean applicator, checking this color out as well. Is it close enough? Perhaps it'll be a bit yellow. What you find sometimes is you can look at the pastel sticks or the pan pastels and you think, yeah, that's definitely a color I want to use. And when you actually do this, you may find instantly that it actually is way off the color you need, and that occurs very often. Look at this stick, for instance. It's a fleshy colored stick. You would think it's got to be in there somewhere, but when I apply it to that bit of pastel mat, I can see that it's miles off everywhere. So if I use that in amongst all these purple and flesh tones, that would really be quite wrong. So here's my basic drawing down on the pastel mat paper, or pastel mat card actually. I'm using the board, so it's nice and thick, doesn't warp at the edges. Even so, I've taped it down just so that it stays in position for recording. And what I'm actually going to do this time, because it's a very complicated drawing with lots and lots of wrinkles, is to actually put the highlights and the darks in place so that I know exactly where they're going to go. Now, before I really get into this video, I want to make a announcement at the start that my new camcorder, the memory card in it, went wrong halfway through just when I was adding all of the details, and about 3 hours worth of that video was completely lost and corrupt. Tried a few programs to bring it back, couldn't do it. So there's going to be a massive jump in the middle of this video from underdrawing to the details virtually being done, so apologies for that, couldn't help it at all. Looking on the bright side, what I'm doing instead is making this a bonus video so I can put it on my Patreon channel and also put it on my YouTube channel. So a nice long video that's at least going to show you all how I would tackle the underdrawing, laying things in with soft pastel, pan pastels, and build it up. It's not going to show you all the extreme detail that I would normally be showing on my Patreon channel, which would make this probably something like a 5-hour video series, which is a shame because it actually turned out quite well. So I'm really disappointed about that, but at least we can get some use out of it. So as I said, what I'm doing is just basically blocking in where lighter tones are going to be. I could have used soft pastels or pastel sticks, just thought the pencils were a bit easier at this stage, so I've just picked those up. But as I said, you could have used pan pastels, pastel sticks, soft pastels, wouldn't really matter. So I'm just going to continue now just to put in the basics of the positioning of where the highlights are. Now I'm using kind of a crosshatch. It doesn't really matter, we're going to be covering it all up anyway, but I didn't want to go filling the tooth of the paper in at all by heavy application, so it's just an indication. It's going to be lots of creases and wrinkles on the skin, so hence doing the cross hatching and these lines instead. So now I've got those lights in place, going to do exactly the same with the extreme darks, and I'm using a dark brown pencil. I'm not going in with any blacks. There's actually very few blacks, if any, on the skin. They're mainly dark browns and very dark reds and purpley reds. So I'm not going in with a black, but just showing myself where those dark elements are going to be. Now I'm going to make it start on the eye itself, and there's a legitimate reason for me starting with the eye, and that's because I absolutely can't wait to make a start with it, and that is the only reason. Really, I should be probably blocking in the skin, keeping the eye till later so I'm not rubbing on it or leaning on it, but that's what attracted me to this drawing and all the wrinkles. I love to give myself a challenge. I could have done one of those eye drawings where you see the model with a perfectly shaped eyebrow and the perfect skin with no marks, but that doesn't really interest me. This face has got so much character, and I'm used to painting elephants, so lots and lots of wrinkles. It's going to be probably a similar technique. I'm not used to doing humans at all. So just blocking in the white of the eye, and as you can see, it's absolutely not white in the slightest. So you know, be aware of your mind, as I say in most of my videos, fooling you with these tricks where it knows it's the white of the eye, for instance, and you go reaching for the white pencil. It's absolutely not. Took myself a little bit of time and worked out the exact colours I needed for the white in particular. And I blended together a couple of different colours, because it's not very often you're going to have the exact colour in your set that you want, and generally there's a few colours combined in areas anyway. So just going to carry on now with the iris and the pupil. All of this will be, you know, refined later on much more, but you've got to start somewhere. So you know, make a brave move and begin, because with pastels obviously we've got that luxury where we can go over the top of it, especially with excuse me, a pastel mat paper that will take those additional layers. One of the very few areas that is black is of course the pupil. It's a small pupil, so I'm getting that in very early on. Remember, I say in most of my long videos, if you've got an extreme white or an extreme dark or black that's in your drawing, in your reference, so going to be in your drawing, get that in on pure paper. So don't have something like a white or a light colour under your black. If you want it pure black, get that down actually on the paper, and if you've got a real pure white, get that on the paper first. Because although obviously with pastels we can lay a dark over a light and a light over a dark to get the richness of that tone, so the real black or the real white, it's best to have that on pure paper. So I'm going to carry on now, roughly blocking in the eye. Now I could be using sticks, pans, anything to be doing this again. The colours I wanted were mostly in my pencils, and obviously pencils give you that little bit more accuracy. So I've just reached for my pencils for this area. Now I'm going to continue to build up the colours, and most of them radiate towards the pupil, hence me using that stroke in that direction most of the time. and I'm going to be using quite a few colours in here as well. I'm going to make the pupil, the iris, sorry, quite vibrant. I want the skin to look old and wrinkly, but perhaps, you know, there's a little bit of something going on in the eye, something deep within, a power. So I'm going to make that a bit more vibrant because I want to add a bit of mystery to this drawing and make it a real focal point as well. Now, as I continue to add more and more colours, you can see why on lots of my videos it's just not possible to give colour formulas and same things like use number pit pastel 1060 or use carbothello this and put it in that spot. I don't know why artists do that. It's just creating some sort of kind of a need for the novice or beginner. They feel that they need to be told all these colours. They can't think for themselves. Now, if you do perhaps one or two, and I've got one myself on my Patreon channel, walk through a basic for complete beginners, and I've done a tiger on there. Then I've listed the exact colours, the exact paper, where to put it. Follow me on this video and create this. You'll surprise yourself, you gain confidence. But after that, you need to be able to look at the reference, perhaps drag out the colours like I've shown and I show on other videos. Look at your pencils, look at your pans, whatever you're using, and select the nearest colour. Now you've got to learn how to do that, because if you don't learn how to do it, all you're going to be doing is following people's videos step by step, creating something that looks pretty good. You show your family, they'll all say how fantastic you are, and then when you want to do something off your own photograph or off somebody else's photograph, you're going to be completely lost because you're going to feel anxious and nervous. You're not going to have anybody holding your hand, and that's not how to learn to be an artist. So I don't know why artists and people keep doing and producing videos like that, but my personal opinion is that you need to learn how to find these colors, and by putting them on a piece of paper, scrap paper like I showed at the beginning, that's how you begin to learn. The more you do drawings and paintings, the more colors and variances within colors, subtle variances you're going to see in your reference photos, in the subjects in real life, and that's when you can pick your colors and also, you know, make your colors if you're doing paintings as well. So that's my personal opinion on actually learning to draw and learning to paint and learning to mix colors. At some point you've really got to bite the bullet and go for it yourself. Now I'm blending all these colors with a paper stump. This one's by Derwent. It's very soft, it's a rice paper stump. So you can see how I can do little circular motions, blending it all together, pushing it into the fine surface of the paper. So you can't see any of that paper grain through it at all when you push in like this. And you can see I'm keeping the darks in the dark, and then I'll clean the end of the stump and go into the light, so use the other end so I'm not contaminating too much. But I'm going to build obviously upon the top of these layers with detail and refinement. So with that bit done, I can bring my reference photo back over. That's the blurry one, and I blurred it because I don't want to be, you know, caught up in all this detail. But you can see the underdrawing actually in there. Okay, so let's make a start on the skin. Now, lots of you that follow my videos know I do a lot of my underdrawings with pan pastels. They're one of my favourite ways of quickly blocking in an underdrawing, then put details on top of the pencils. But on this video I am going to use a little bit of pan pastels, but I wanted to show you how I would use soft pastels as well, so pastel sticks. Because I know, some of you may have started off with these soft pastels, you've got them in your sets. Not everybody has got pan pastels, so it's good to show other types of pastels and them in use as well. Now I'm just using the ones that are perfectly shaped, like I just picked up. You can see the smooth surface on them. They are my Rembrandt pastels. Now they're a good, very reasonably priced, good quality pastel, and they come in a fantastic range of colours, so I use those a lot. I've also got Unison pastels, I've got just a few of those, I've got Sennelier pastels, so you can intermix and change all of those. Now you can use, I'm using the pan pastel little shovel tools to blend, so obviously you can use those with your soft pastels as well. They all interchange. And obviously you can use your finger to blend too. Now when you're using a finger, because pastelmat holds the pastel, it doesn't go blending out like it does on some smoother papers, which I don't like. I like the pastel to actually sit there, and it allows me to build up layers. So for me, you can check out my other videos, I always say the same thing. The most important thing, if you're going to spend your money on one thing with pastels, is to get the right paper. You need a roughish, or at least a slightly textured paper, so that would be pastelmat, UArt, pastel card even, but pastelmat is my preferred paper at the moment, and that's how I managed to get all my layers and hence all the details. So don't scrimp on spending out on the paper. Now some say it's very expensive, it's different price in different countries, but just relate. If I was doing this now, spending say 6 hours on this drawing, if I was doing it on canvas, I probably wouldn't I'd expect to spend, if I used stretch canvas, I'd expect to spend perhaps £4, £5, £6, £7 on the canvas. But when it's a sheet of card or paper, we don't see the value in it. You've got to get away from that way of thinking and think of it just like a canvas. You're going to spend a lot of time on it. You want it to perform perfectly. So I'm going to continue now to build up this underlayer, that I can then put the details on top of. Now the beauty with pan pastels is we can take a piece of just normal white printer paper, get a couple of pans there, and we can actually mix the colours together on that paper. So if there's a subtle hue, perhaps you want to just change it a little bit, pan pastels are absolutely ideal for it, and you can get whatever colour you want. See how I've completely changed the lightness, the darkness and the colours there. Now I could easily and quickly have done all of the underdrawing, all of this blocking in just with pan pastels. But as I said, I wanted to show you a couple of different ways, because I don't want people stuck if they've got limited funds and they've got perhaps the pan pastels. That's why I show those in a video, that's great. Or perhaps they'll only have pencils and I show just using those in my videos too. Because with pastels, more than probably any other medium, there's lots of ways to get a very similar effect. And some people would probably prefer to hold a pencil. Other people like the more painterly way of laying down colours of the pan pastels. And you can see how quick and how smoothly we can make these pans. So you can see I'm just putting in that underlayer using the sweeping motions with the tool. Now the heads of the tools, the tips will come off, so you can turn them over and use the other side. You can clean them against a piece of tissue or rag as well. So I'm going to switch back over now to my sticks and continue this blocking in process. So lots of pinks as well on this section. I'm using Unison pastels here. They're a very soft pastel. You can always tell when I'm using those. They've got that white paper around the middle. They've got some lovely rich colours and lots of different colours in their sets. As I said, very, very soft and blend super easy. They particularly got some great flesh tones in there. And they actually sell their colours in sets as well. That's pretty much suitable for the subject. So I think they've got like landscape sets and portrait sets. Or you can buy them individually. So you can see there's some nice warmth coming in to these areas of the face, around the eye, down the nose. So there's a nice interplay on this aged face of warm and cool tones. And that's a cooler tone going in now. Once again, that's a Unison. So another nice soft colour going in. Remember, I'm going to build on top of this with details with pencils. But it's surprising, even with these soft pastels, when I use the edges, you can get some real detailing and texture from them. And I want lots of texture on this skin. That's why I'm not blending everything out super smooth. Now, just because it's an underlayer, that doesn't mean you can't use your pencils, because sometimes you may want to use your pencil on its side, as I'm doing now, and just get glazing a colour over another. There's some greys in this part of the skin, so you can always get the pencils out. You can see I'm using kind of a purpley flesh tone here. So you don't need every colour from every set. You may have that colour, that exact colour you're looking for in your pencil set, and that's fine to use that whether it's the underlayer or the top layer, and that goes for any of the pastels. You can use them at any stage. I generally keep my pencils for the later stages because it saves wearing them out so quick, and I like to keep hold of my money as long as possible. So I don't want to be blocking in large areas with my pencils. Just going to carry on now, darkening some areas, lightening some other areas. You can see I'm using a small sponge there, and that's a panpastel soft tool. So it's kind of the size of your finger. Like I say, it's a fairly firm sponge, lasts a lot longer. It's more durable than the small tip on the other soft tools, the little shovel tools, little spade tools. So I use those when I'm blending out large areas. You can see I've gone back to my sticks and I'm getting some of these darks in. So I want to make sure my underdrawing is a little bit on the dark side so that I can lay my lighter tones on top. So I squint quite a bit at my drawing and my reference because I'm really just concentrated solely on getting the lights and the darks nice and right and in the right places. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of detailing around the eye. Nothing spectacular, but it will give it a bit of a wet look. And then I'm going to stop and leave it for part 1 of this video. And then on the next video we can look a bit more at refinement. Don't forget I've lost, as I said, a lot of video footage, so I'm making the best of a bad situation here. But it gives you a bit of a taster as well of what my long videos are like. So it's a Carbothello pencil I'm using here. You can see the ones with the grey tip on, they're Carbothello, and Carbothello are a great make, very, very reasonably priced. As you can see, that's another Carbothello. Got some wonderful colours in there, suited for wildlife in particular, or at least I think so. Lots of muted greys as well that I use a lot, and they're my preferred pencil. So you can see a Carbothello in my hand. The other one I'm not using but holding, that's a Pitt pastel pencil. You can see the difference. It's got the wood shaft with a little colour on the top. They're another good pencil, a little bit harder than the Carbothello. So I'm not using a black there, it's a dark brown. I'm just starting to add some refinement to the eye. Steady hand then for that dark line underneath. And the eye won't really come alive until I start to put in some more of the highlights. Just lightening up that, well, non-white part of the eye. Don't want to go too light in there. I want to keep all that subtle. It's not too blended either. Bit of texture in there. Just tap it with my finger just to subdue that texture just a small amount. And I need to come back and refine the shape of the eye as well. I can see that's a little bit off, but that can be done very easily when I start working on those edges. I need a lighter strip down the bottom. It's just these little touches that add to the realism. And now I'm starting to refine that edge, a nice dark blue. Got to keep the edge fairly blended. It's surprising, it's not a sharp edge where the coloured part of the iris on my drawing at least comes into contact with the white of the eye. So I need to keep that a little bit smooth. Just touching with the black. I'm not putting a lot of pastel down, but I want this to be a darker blue. So I'm having to use the black and the blue combined to give me the colour and the depth of colour that I'm after. You can see that really starts to make that stand out now. Just blending that edge with my finger. Redefining the shape. And needs to come out at the bottom a bit, that's better. Just blending the edge again. I'm cutting in now a bit on that, but it's sticking out a bit too much. You can see I'm putting a bit of that grey down, just making it more rounded. And that's much, much better. So you can see, very easy to make adjustments with pastel pencils. So I'm just going to darken the top of the eye a bit as I bring this part 1 video to an end. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Wish I had all those details to show you in the next one, but the next one's still going to have lots and lots of tips in there as I continue with this refinement with pastels. So see you all again on the next video. If you are enjoying it, if you're watching it on YouTube, please like it, please subscribe, because that's what keeps my YouTube channel going. If you're looking for even more great art sources, I've really got you covered. First off, I've got a Patreon channel. It's been going well over a year or so, packed with around about 50 or more videos and new ones every month. Lots of the videos are many hours long, so you can see they're really in-depth. Subjects such as turtles, birds, elephants, big cats, you name it, is on there. So that's my Patreon channel. And also on that Patreon channel, before I go on to something else, I've got a secret Facebook group. So only the members are actually on there. It's the most supportive and friendly Facebook group that I've ever seen. I know I'm biased, but it really is. We've got 400 or 500 members on there, and they all help each other. So that's a great added bonus. That comes free with it. Also, you get line art every month as well. And we've just designed a brand new companion website for it. So if you've joined other Patreons and channels and you found it very difficult to navigate around, we got this free website that comes with it. All the videos are now just a single click away. It couldn't be any easier than it is. I've also got my site, jasonmorgan.co.uk, lots of tutorial videos, DVD discs and downloads on there. And if you're struggling for reference photos for your art projects, I've got some of those too. I've got 900 plus on my website, wildlifeart-online.com, and they will be copyright free for you, so you can paint and draw from them and sell your work with no copyright worries whatsoever. So hope you like those extra resources, and I'll see you all again real soon.